All right, welcome back to this week's edition of the OmniTalk Fast 5. It's November 22nd, 2019, and we are again here in front of a live audience at our Third House Retail Lab in Minneapolis. How's everybody doing out there? All right, that's what we like to hear. How's everybody doing here up on stage?
Turning the mic level down on Chris.
I'm always loud.
We're doing well. We're doing well. Getting psyched for our trip to Tel Aviv on Saturday.
That's right. Tel Aviv's on Saturday. The long, we leave Saturday night, get back early, or we leave early Wednesday morning. Whirlwind trip.
We're going to be back in time for Thanksgiving, which is the most important thing, and Black Friday, which will also be exciting.
Yeah, what's our plan for Black Friday?
Black Friday, we are going to, I think we're going to go to Mall of America.
Hell yes, we are.
I was like, are we doing that?
And the question is, what time are we going to Mall of America?
No, so these guys every year want to be at Mall of America at 5 a.m.
Oh.
Or 4:30 a.m. so that they can wait in line with everybody. I feel like we still get just as much content if we arrive at 6 a.m., but I don't know. We'll see. They have big prizes they're giving away this year, so maybe that's what you guys want to do is wait in line.
Well, one of the stores I know we want to see is the one we're going to talk about, and that's the new Lululemon store as well.
Yes.
And so I can't wait to see that, but we'll wait until we get to that headline. Carter, you got any big plans? Emma, you're going. Oh wait,
beer.
Emma. Oh gosh, Spirit Bill beer. I cannot talk today already.
I know.
Spilled beer. That's actually really hard to say on stage. But Emma, you do have big plans. So Emma, the intern, you are going home, right?
I am.
Any exciting things happening there with the trek back to New Jersey?
New York.
New York, also known as.
That was an insult.
Yes,
right
whoops.
No, but I'm excited to see my family and my dog and whatnot. So
Wonderful. When do you get back?
I'm leaving Wednesday night and then coming back Sunday night.
Awesome. Good. All right, well, you guys ready to get to it?
Let's do it.
You guys ready to get to it? Yes. All right, first, a note from our sponsor. So our sponsor of this week's episode is, of course, Trigo. Trigo helps grocers unlock the true beauty of brick-and-mortar retailing by designing a magical checkout-free experience using computer vision and AI. Together with Tesco, Trigo is now building the largest checkout-free store ever built. And as Anne alluded to, we will actually be at their headquarters next week in Tel Aviv, checking out their retail lab. So I can't wait to see it. And then also, a new feature that we have this week, something we're going to try out, something we haven't done before. It's called the What Do We Miss feature. And this comes to us again from our good friend Carl Boutet up north in Canada. Because every week we try to cover the best headlines, but every week we don't always do it exactly probably the best way that we could. And so Carl sent us this headline, which is that JD.com, if you didn't catch it, actually opened up a physical store last week. And so to Carl's credit, I got to say, we missed this one because this is one we should have covered. So for those of you that aren't familiar, JD.com, one of the biggest online retailers in China, actually, according to the article, the biggest one by revenue. They opened up a new 50,000 square foot space. It opened on, not coincidentally, Singles Day, 11/11.
Did they really?
They did. Of course they did. Why wouldn't they, right? You got to stick it to the
ride
competition,
that wave.
right?
Okay, cool.
But this thing sounds pretty cool. So they've got what they call brand experience zones. So it actually has Apple's largest authorized offline store in the world. It runs entirely on 5G. They have, of course, dynamic electronic pricing tags and QR codes also said for order placement. Having trouble today.
Very Canadian of you.
Yeah, right. Codes. That's for you, Carl. And of course, my favorite robot product guides that take you through the store. So again, the cool, perfect separation of shopping and buying, 50,000 square feet, electronic price tags, QR codes for shopping, and you can have everything delivered if you want to your home within the day, or you can take it home from the store right then and there. What do you guys think?
Half of these features are eye rolls. The robot, the QR codes, the dynamic pricing tags. The video of it, though, is actually pretty cool. Like, it reminds me of almost Dave & Buster's, as weird as that is. It's very dark with a lot of neon accents. You should watch the video. It's a 30-second video. Yeah. We can link it in the bio. Is
it a cool Dave & Buster's?
Yeah, it is. I would say it's a cool Dave & Buster's.
Can you say those words together?
Yeah,
I mean,
cool. And I love Dave & Buster's. Are you kidding me?
They're our next sponsor.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
Cool Dave & Buster's in China.
All right, Carter. I think
let's keep going.
Carl definitely hit it out of the park with that one, though. Big miss for us. And for those listening or watching, If you have an idea of something we missed every week, please let us know on social media. We'd be happy to talk about it, give you credit as well, talk about it on the podcast, because we always want to hear what's out there. Like we always say, we might say things that are right, we might say things that are wrong, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's the conversation that matters the most. So Carter, you want to start us off?
Yeah, for sure. So The Verge reported earlier this week that TikTok is actually testing links in bios, similar to what you're used to in Instagram. This might not seem like that big of a deal, but the reason it's an actually big deal is that TikTok, knowing the surge it's had specifically with younger demographics over the last year, has started to slowly roll out ways to enable sponsorships or actual in-app integrations for influencers. So some of these TikTok creators, or just kids or young adults throughout the U.S., are getting followings of tens, hundreds, millions of people. And beforehand, any sponsorship deal that you would make on TikTok would have to be off-platform, and it'd have to be more of a content play. Now with links in bios and links in actual posts, you're able to do affiliate links, you're able to do tracking, you're able to do that kind of stuff, so that you're actually able to potentially monetize your followers of hundreds of thousands or millions. So TikTok is starting to roll out more and more of these commerce features, as I think it's looking to not only expand in terms of vertical features, but it's also, I think, trying to fend off Instagram and Facebook, who are as we speak, building platforms to try to compete with it. So yeah, that's the news from TikTok.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, I watched the video of this online. Like, basically just get taken to the Amazon platform real quick if you happen to have a store stood up. How many people in the audience are on TikTok? All right, one. All right, for those listening to the podcast, one. All right, this platform is cool. And you have a lot of experience with TikTok.
Oh, I do. I do. My profile handle is SellAwesomeDude11. I learned about TikTok because of my 9-year-old son, and I actually talked to him about this at dinner last night. I was like, so Sully, what do you think about, like, if you could sell your Carhartt beanie that you have on right now, if you could sell that on TikTok and make money off of it, what would you think of it? And he was like, well, first, I don't want to lose this beanie that I have on my head. I was like, no, dude, you're cool. You get money, you sell beanies to other people. You don't even have to deal with it. His eyes lit up, and that kid was like, get me on TikTok. I'm going to go make the video right now. So I think that this has a lot of
Justin
potential.
Toy Factory.
I know. I mean, one of the things, though, that I found in one of the articles that I was reading about this is that TikTok is actually trying to figure out how you can do commerce between TikTok users. So similar to what we talked about last week about Facebook Pay. So being able to actually transact within the TikTok platform. And I think that's where things start to get really interesting.
That's super cool. Emma, the intern, what's the word at the U on TikTok?
I mean,
What are all the kids saying? Sorry, I had to say it.
That's right. Thank you.
You absolutely did.
I don't have TikTok. I get, like, whenever I see TikTok videos, it's because I see them while scrolling through Twitter. I mean, I guess there's a lot of monetary potential in this, but none of my friends have TikTok. They all, like, everyone knows of it, but I know my brother has a TikTok, and he's younger than me, so.
Well, Emma, you said, like, TikTok missed your generation.
I think it
you think
did.
it's coming up with, like, the next round? Huh?
Vine shaped my adolescent years, and so.
Did you buy anything in Vine?
No.
They just, brands were on Vine, and that was it. Same kind of thing that we're talking about right now.
It was the early stage.
I have the
right,
absolute best TikTok video saved that I have to show everyone after. So if you want to see it, it's amazing, and we'll show you after this.
It is pretty addicting
Recording.
though. Like, Ann, you showed me your setup, and I've been trying. I downloaded it now and been trying to get on it, but it's like super addicting. You just start watching all this random stuff, which is amazing, and then you can start doing commerce on it, which we're gonna get to later.
Why
as
haven't
well.
you gotten on it?
Well, I'm trying. It's a little slow growth
Emma,
for
we
me
might
on
need
all
some help
new
getting Chris
platforms.
on TikTok.
So anyway, all right, Ann, number 2.
Okay, this was a big story early in the week. So Coty announced that they are now purchasing a majority stake in Kylie Cosmetics. So the beauty company Coty, most of you would know them as the owner of some drugstore brands like Rimmel, London, CoverGirl, Clairol, Sally Hansen, etc. They now own a 51% stake in the Kylie brand makeup company that they purchased for $600 million. Kylie Jenner still owns the remainder of the company, but this was, on its face, I think didn't seem like it was that big of a deal to most people. They don't really care about Kylie Jenner or the Kardashians, and they dismiss them. But I'm here to tell you today, you better watch out, because those Kardashians, this world of social commerce and of influencers, they know how to do it right, and they are going to just start printing money. Clearly, they are printing money.
If they're not already.
They are,
right?
It's only going to go even more crazy from this point on. What I think is going to be something we'll have to carefully watch with this is what Coty does to that brand, because the product that Kylie put out is an incredible product. It's a Sephora product. It is not a drugstore product. And so what happens when you have a mass market beauty brand like Coty take control of this? And she says she'll still maintain creative control. That's easy to say right now, but when you own less than 50% of the company, I think that becomes a lot more difficult. So what are you guys feeling?
I got a ton of thoughts on this, but before I share, I'm curious, what's your take on the left-hand side of the room?
We could talk about this a lot. I think the big conversation with like Webb Smith and the 2 p.m. guys today on Twitter was basically what is the ratio of credit given to the fact that she was a celebrity, and is that what you can give credit to versus business prowess and actually being smart? You can't just say because she was a celebrity she was able to do this, though that probably was a key enabler. There is some business prowess and some really smart strategy that was applied to this over the last 4, 5, 6 years that I think that this brand has been growing. So I think it's just an interesting point to think about is how much of this is due to the fact that she does have the name and how much of it is due to the fact that the business was pretty well run for the last couple of years.
And like Ann said, it's good product.
Yeah.
Right. I think what's interesting about this is, especially with this whole idea of social commerce and how that continues to emerge. And like we just talked about with TikTok, influencers, celebrities, whatever, they can go to direct to consumer so much easier than they could before. And as a result, new brands get stood up. They get stood up pretty easily and pretty quickly. Now, if you look in the CPG world over the course of history, CPGs, quite frankly, have a lot of times grown their business through acquisition. And so I think Ann's point's really interesting because you're saying, okay, now we're going to acquire this up-and-coming brand, but what happens to it after you do that in this new world? I think that's very different than where we were in the past. And I'll give you an anecdote. It's an experience I'll never forget. I was at business school, and there was a guy, I don't know why I remember his name, but I looked it up actually before the podcast, and I actually had it right. His name is John Osher. And what John was this serial entrepreneur, and he created the spin brush. Okay? He created the early spin brush. Do you remember that little thing?
Hold on. No, nobody does. What is the spin
brush? Spin brush was that little electric, you remember it? It was that a little electric toothbrush. And he came in and he talked to our class, and he talked about everything he did to build it, and he spent about 2 years selling it direct to Targets, Walmarts, whomever. And then I remember he's sitting in the class, and he told us all, yeah, I sold it for like $500 million, right? Because it worked. And P&G bought it. And it was actually a big reason for their success around the middle part of the 2000s, so around like 2003, 2005. That's a different model, though, because there you have products that are coming up. It's very much about the efficacy of those products, the quality of those products. They're engineered a certain way. That's very different than I think the point Ann's bringing up, which is you have products brought about by celebrities, and how much staying power do those have, and what premium, to your point, Carter, are you paying for the fact that it is a celebrity, and does it produce as much value as you have in the long run? Oh, and by the way, do these celebrities or authorities or influencers actually need to go that route at all? So I still keep coming back to the fact that the CPGs have a lot less power and even the potential to overspend relative to where they were in the past, again, putting that model in more of a precarious position than it ever has been.
Yeah, I mean, they are the potential too for Coty is that they can make this Kylie product available to the masses now, which we'll see how well that's executed and where the quality of the product goes.
All right, Emma, you want to do story number 3?
Yeah. So Kroger is launching in-store farming. And they announced this week that they are starting a partnership with InFarm, which is a Berlin-based urban farming system company. And they're going to be bringing these urban farming systems to 2 of their stores in Washington, with more locations on the way. And so this technology is going to provide customers with access to fresh greens that are priced at or below Kroger's existing store brand produce.
Is there anything Kroger's not doing, first of all? Can we just start there? Quick, go. Name one thing Kroger hasn't tried.
I don't know.
No, just kidding.
Don't put me on
I think the question is I think the idea is amazing. I think we've talked a lot about when we look at future of grocery, how are you bringing some of the farming and fresh source produce closer to city centers where the demand is really high. And we think we see Amazon starting to look at some of that kind of stuff. So I think this is an amazing idea. I think the question is this model scalable to a way that could actually produce enough products for a Kroger location, right? Because I think if we look at the display right now and from the pictures I saw, I think it's great for, maybe 50 units a day, right? 20 units a day? I don't know. I don't know the specifics of it. But it's not big enough to, let's say, provide avocados for everyone who wants them on a Sunday night.
Yeah, I don't think that's we've seen a lot of these at the trade shows that we've been at over the course of the last couple of years, not in farm among others. And I think that their hook is not that they're going to replace the produce section. I mean, Whole Foods has been doing this for a long time too with their rooftop greenhouses where they are growing lettuces for the Whole Foods and then they put them on the shelves in the store below them. But I think that it's more about doing more to get direct local produce. So it's just the herbs or it's just those kinds of things that they're trying to slowly eliminate all of the packaging and process that goes into those. And so this for me was not like that wow of a headline. But I think it's another initiative that they're trying out in store. And yeah, those Kroger stores are going to look drastically different than any other grocery store for a little while at least.
Yeah, this is why I love doing this, because every time we start talking about it, I start thinking about new angles as we're up here talking about it too. But again, it's like the play on urban farming, which has all the benefits that we've talked about. But then you start thinking about it again in concert with all the other things they are experimenting with. And I joke that they're experimenting with everything because literally they are, but we've talked before about the Kroger, Walgreens partnerships. We've talked about some of the efforts they're doing around locker pickup and things like that. So if you start thinking about Kroger getting into more densely packed urban locations, what do stores start to look like? You could start to have very different visions of stores as places of pickup, as places of still getting produce, but getting in a way that's very different, that's more kind of vertical farming, urban-based farming like this. So you can start to see the avenues. I kind of tend to agree, though, it still feels a little more on the sizzle side of the PR. But it's something that's, up and coming. It's something we've seen. I remember we saw Babylon Farms was the company we saw at Grocery Shop, and they were pretty intriguing. I mean, it's something, interesting that you could see application. You could see people wanting to do it. And it's just a question of, okay, and it's pretty easy to test too. Like, let's try it out, get it in, see what happens. And you can extrapolate quite a bit from there.
If all else fails, the restaurants that are in the new Kroger stores can use them for putting meals together. Inspiration for their food waste farmers market.
Right, like the one in Cincinnati. Where is it? Cincinnati.
In Cincinnati,
yeah. Cincinnati, the big store. The other thing too on the grocery side, we didn't cover this in the headlines, but it's important for everyone to know because I know someone will say, "Hey, you missed this week." Big news on the Amazon front. So reported this week. Amazon will open now a 10,000 square foot Amazon Go store in Seattle.
Grocery store. Yes.
Yeah, in Seattle. Using Amazon Go technology.
Right.
So Amazon Go technology across 10,000 square feet. So again, that's just over three times the size of the initial Amazon Go store in Seattle.
And liquor store.
Yeah, pretty damn impressive.
Yes.
Still don't know what the California store will look like, the new reimagined grocery store, but now it sounds like there's confirmed reports that you have a 10,000 foot Go store, which is pretty damn impressive.
I wonder if they're just going to 3x the density of the technology and they're just pouring a bunch of cash into it, or if they actually figured out new ways. Because remember, that was the biggest issue. Mm-hmm. Or wasn't the biggest. It was a issue. Yeah,
that's what we keep learning. It's a question of really, the processing speed at which you have to understand all of the data that's coming through and moving through that space. And then, of course, the cost of the hardware to make it all work, in the bigger footprint. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what, size and shape that thing takes. And, maybe we'll see if it has product packed to the same level of density as, say, the initial Amazon Go store did. All right, story number 4. We mentioned this before, but you guys ready to get your sweat on? I know some of you are. Lululemon is now offering yoga classes as well as clothes in its new store at the Mall of America. According to a company spokesperson, let me quote this, it's a space to shop, sweat, eat, relax, and do it all in one place, end quote, the company spokesperson said. And that was all according to an article in the Star Tribune. The new store includes space for workout classes, a rentable event space for meditation and meetings, men's and women's locker rooms and showers, and a cafe to grab light refreshments and drinks. There's even a translucent glass wall that becomes clear when the classes are not in session. Yes, I read every piece of this article.
God.
I know, right?
That is kind of like the early office gimmicks. Like, oh,
right?
Like, let me just close this class. Well, right. That's cool. That'll help. It'll keep the space open and flowing.
For sure, yeah. To keep, it keeps the creep factor down a little bit too. I gotta think.
Yeah.
It's only $25 for a drop-in yoga class. I don't know why I said only, but it's $25 for a drop-in yoga class.
That's pretty standard.
Yeah, pretty standard. And then here was the cool thing that I learned in the Star Tribune article, and this was according to Bernstein Research. I didn't know this. This blew me away. According to them, only half of Americans actually know what Lululemon is, which is pretty interesting when you start thinking about a really big store in the Mall of America.
Well, and that was kind of the justification for this flagship experience, was the amount of foot traffic within the Mall of America from a diversity of places, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Are we opening for comments now?
100%.
As you guys know, we talked a lot about this for the last 6 months. I've had a little bit of an opportunity to work with some of the people who are running and kind of promoting that store, and I couldn't be a bigger fan. I think if you guys have ever been to the Mall of America store, that thing is packed. The amount of money they pushed through that thing was absolutely insane. I think the retail footprint alone, even if these experiential elements don't necessarily take off, will reap insane benefits in the mall, and I think they'll continue to do really well. I also, from the details that were listed in the article and from what I've heard, the amenities are like mint. I mean, you're talking really nice stuff, really great locker rooms, things that are absolutely amazing.
Are we bringing mint
Is
back?
that a millennial word?
I
What
don't
is
know
that?
that I'm going to let you continue
Mint?
without
Why don't you guys
stopping
go
it.
look at the TikTok trending list and you'll see that mint is close to the top.
Is that like quiche?
Oh, God, Chris.
No, we'll just
okay.
stop there.
We
But
digress.
here's my question.
Yes.
question. And I'm excited to be proven wrong. And like I said, I love these guys so much. $25 to come to a yoga studio in the back of a retail
Yes.
store at the Mall of America. I get it. Parking is good. I get it. Like, it's Lululemon. But I just have a really hard time believing that at 8 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, people are going to want to go in, and much less for $25. I was a little worried about it at first when I thought it was free and complimentary. But for $25 a hit, that's a lot of cash, and I think the barriers to entry are pretty large in the first place.
Do you think tourists will do it?
No, I don't think they will, because
Oh, my God,
when was
you guys.
the last time?
Hold up. No, I got to stop you.
All right, no, I'm excited to be proven wrong.
This
This is always my favorite part when you
is
two
the
get in a fight.
biggest. This is the biggest. I'm going to use it the right way in this week's podcast.
Okay.
Trojan Horse.
Trojan Horse. Okay. All right. Why?
Because to register for these classes, one thing that you guys may or may not know, you don't register through the Lululemon site. You register through MindBody Online, which is where you register for any other yoga class or gym class or HIIT class or fitness class. It's all done by demographics, by zip code. So you type in your zip code with the type of class you want, and there is Lululemon in the search field. And what I think this is showing us is that Lululemon is starting to test and explore how to get into the gym industry and fitness industry long term, because they've got the 360 life cycle brand. One more thing. There are, during the holidays, 13,000 employees who work at the Mall of America. 13,000 employees. And if you're working a holiday shift, a lot of them, this is in addition to other jobs that they might have. They might be taking public transit to get to the space. So to have a gym facility in the place where they work that's offering classes, 25 for a drop-in, we don't know what their other programming options are. I think that this is a totally realistic space where people will go to exercise.
So it's a captive
convenient.
flow.
I think it's genius. I love this so much. But to your point, I agree. 360, if it's a data play, then why charge? If you're getting benefits from it, from, understanding your audience and starting to jump into the market, why put another barrier to entry to get in? And also then, at $25 a hit, the average demographic at the Mall of America who's working retail, I don't know is going to want to spend $25 on their half-hour break.
Well, I don't think they're going to
I'm being very critical.
I think if you looked at the, first of all, I think fitness is a priority in more people's lives
Totally.
than we realize. So
100%.
if you look at, that person working that job at the mall, while you might not peg them as a traditional person who would spend $25 on a class, I think it's a category next to food and beverage dining out where people spend more money on that kind of thing. So I think that people will do it. I think if you don't charge, people don't show up. So
That's
I think
also a
that
very true point.
you're recruiting these Lululemon ambassadors to teach these classes, and they're not going to teach if people don't show up.
Totally.
So
Black Friday morning, guys.
So-
you want to do it?
Well, that's my thing.
I think we're going to all do it.
That's my question. I have two questions. Do you
Liz
think
Kruger,
one,
book us a spot.
book us? I think we might have to try this. But two questions. Do you think people coming up from Iowa will come in and try this? I totally think they would. They'd be like, oh yeah, Let's do this. This will be part of our vacation up to the Mall of America.
There's no barrier to entry. The clothes are there. You get free clothes to wear while you're working out.
I totally do. All right, and second question, because I can see Carter's eyes rolling in the back of his head.
No, I can't wait to be proven wrong. I am the biggest fan. I think Lululemon is going to be one of the most valuable brands and will continue to rise. Don't get me wrong. I love them. I think they're amazing. I just am picking out the one little thing of the $25 barrier.
No, and that's where I want to go next. So last year we went to the Mall of America on Black Friday at 6 in the morning. And the one store that stuck out to us the most was Lululemon for the reason no sales plastered anywhere on the walls, unlike every other store in the mall. And the line was out the door. So, given that this store is bigger, better, more experiential than last year, what's your prediction? Are there going to be more people at this place when we go there on Friday, next Friday, or about the same? What are you thinking?
It's going to be packed.
You think it's going to be even
gonna be
more crazy?
Packed. 100%.
All right, then I think we've got to figure out, we got to go. We got to figure out what to do.
Emma, what do you think of Lululemon?
I don't own anything from Lululemon. It's a great company and brand with like great company culture and whatnot, but I just think of it as like a trendy kind of brand to
Would
wear.
you work out there if you?
Absolutely not.
Never.
It's too intimidating. Like,
What about the $25?
well, that's 2 hours of shit. So when I was working at Mall of America, that would be taking 2 hours off of my shift to go get all sweaty. And like, I like working out, but that sounds horrible. So
What about if you had it for the shower facilities on site
no.
alone? No. Too intimidating. Don't want to run into anybody from the mall.
And too
Or
expensive.
school.
I think you're right. To capture that audience, there's got to be some kind of discount.
And who
or
knows, maybe
incentive
there
for
is.
people
Maybe
in the
we're not
mall. There
privy to
could
that
be, and it's hard to
information,
know. Yeah, exactly. All right, Ann, you want to close us up? This is always my favorite headline of the week. It's always headline number 5 for those that listen to us regularly. It's usually Ann's favorite, just random story of the week. But this one is super cool.
Okay, so according to CNBC, the CEO of Levi Strauss has made a statement this week saying that sizes will go out the window 10 years from now. We will not have clothing sizes at all because he believes that the traditional sizing model will disappear as body scanners and cameras allow shoppers to buy clothing that fits them exactly. Bespoke clothing happening in the next 10 years. I love this. I think that they also got some quotes from some other founders, including Heidi Zak, the CEO of Third Love, who says that she believes that that's true, that Third Love's ability to find the perfect fit based on that fit finder has allowed them to progress as far as making sizes more applicable to more people using their technology. And I think this is crazy, but also so cool.
I think it's so cool. What does the audience think on this one? What do you guys think? Do you think, is this guy crazy? Is Chipberg crazy? 10 years we won't have sizing anymore? Show of hands. Yes? Yes, show of hands. 1, 2. Okay, so 2. So we've got about, okay. All right, so very few of you think this. Okay, what if I said 20 years? Does that change your thought process at all? No, we're still having sizing. Okay, fascinating.
What would you, though, here's my question, because there's a company that we talked about a few years ago who came out and they said that they could custom print a gown. So if you could go to them, you could say, I saw this gown on the red carpet. I have a gala coming up this holiday. I'm inspired by that. I want this gown custom printed in my fabric and color choice. And they could do it for less than the cost of a Rent the Runway dress. Would you do that? Would you have a gown made custom fit to your body? Raise your hands in the audience. Yeah. All the women and Corey. Yes.
Yes.
The values left and right. The price is there and the fit's there.
Yeah, I think that's different than, say, like general just mass market apparel. Like, does the sizing of denim just go away? When it's a specific use case or event for that type of thing, I could see that happening. But this is a different proclamation.
But you're saying you'd rather buy your 30-32 jeans instead of having a custom pair of jeans
No,
that
I'm
fit
not.
your body?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the claim here is different than the use case you're describing. Would I do that? 100% yes. In fact, I'll just go there now. I was going to wait. But I think this is amazing. I love this proclamation. I love it because, yes, if you could convince me and it was easy to do and it was frictionless that I could get the exact pair of jeans that fit me as the guy who's wearing the same jeans almost every day because I need a pair drastically, I would 100% do that, especially if you can get them to me at a reasonable price. But the thing I love about this most, I love when CEOs talk about disrupting themselves. That's what he's doing. He's saying, how do we think about the future in a way that is so contrary to how we've always done our business? Doesn't mean we're going to go freaking do it, But we're actually going to start thinking about it and testing and innovating towards that direction so that we aren't left holding the bag when somebody like M. Taylor or like that sneaks out of nowhere and kicks our ass.
I agree totally, and I think we underestimate 1 year overestimate 1 year, underestimate 10. I think the idea that we might be able to get scanned and have a data set that was our perfect body shape, and the scan is pretty easy to do as your body shape potentially changes, and then the idea that you could go to a mid-tier retailer, mid-tier and up, and just say, hey, this is what my body type is, like, and they create whatever clothing item it is. Though the way I just described it sounds incredibly complicated, it's not that complicated. I think to say that we're still not going to, we'll have white V-necks at Target for small, medium, and large, 100%. But for things like jeans and anything above like the nice-ish pair of jeans, so anything above a $50 price point, I would imagine would be custom tailored because it's just so easy to do.
Yeah, I think you'd wait for your shoes. I think you'd wait for your denim.
Well,
right?
yes, because jeans and shoes and all that, it matters a ton. And ultimately, it's not a need state you have in the moment. And at the end of the day, getting that data shouldn't be that difficult.
It's interesting, too. This world is coming faster than I think we realize. Like, Adore Me just opened a store in Nashville. Again, a lingerie company, but just opened a store in Nashville where they have 3D body scanners in the store.
Yeah.
And it's one of their first stores, and they're going after this. I haven't seen it yet. No idea how well it works, how much friction there is in the process.
Well, but
people are really going after this and trying this.
I mean, you could just go through the TSA, and then they could give you the scan, and that'd be it.
My gosh.
That was a joke.
How many things can you accomplish in one spot? I love it.
That would be amazing. Emma, the intern, any thoughts on this in closing?
Why don't we fix the issues with sizing now? Like, sizing is terrible. I have a list on my computer of what size I wear and what specific pants across all these companies, and they're all different. And I feel like someone could figure that out and make it slightly better than it is now. And I mean, it's cool to think 10 years down the road that it won't exist anymore, but someone try and help us.
Yeah, and all that data's out there. I think that's part of the point too, is right?
Yeah.
The data's out there to be captured.
Yeah, maybe they could take a 3D scan of your body and you just insert those measurements, and then they send you whatever it is. In
Hopefully,
whatever size most closely matches you.
Yeah, that might be the easiest way to do it. All right, well, that wraps us up. Again, next week Ann and I are in Tel Aviv. We're excited about that. Be sure to tune in for our Fast Five podcast, which we will likely record. In fact, we will record it from the Mall of America live.
Mid-yoga class.
Right, maybe during yoga class, during my flow. All right. And we've got a couple of good posts out this week as well on Forbes. So I've got a fun one out that talks about Walmart and where retail is headed over the next decade and just how ripe companies are potentially to be disrupted. It's actually really interesting. If you look at the data, if you look at the list of the top 10 retailers going back to 1970, and then you look 20 years beyond that, that list changes 40% of the time. So there's a 40% chance that if you were a top 10 retailer in a given decade, 20 years later, you're gone. Really interesting to think about. There's also a cool article on Forbes that I put out today around Disney Plus and how that could be so much more than a streaming platform, but also a commerce platform. I encourage you to check that out. Of course, as always, please like, review, and subscribe to our podcast. According to FeedSpot, which ranks podcasts, our podcast, really hard day today.
Not after this episode.
Yeah, wow. Our podcast is now actually ranked higher than NRF's Retail Gets Real podcast. So I am really stoked about that, especially if you have followed our writing over the past few years. And of course, we are still ranked in the top 10 on iTunes.
Thanks to our subscribers and listeners for rating us.
Yeah, we wouldn't be here without you. So if you're listening to us for the first time, please take a second, write us a review. If you listen to us for a long time and you haven't left a review, please do that as well. Do us a solid. As I always say, every difference makes a difference. We hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving. Of course, be safe. And as always, be careful out there.